Well, let's begin. All right, so obviously, if we're thinking Bitcoin, I'll get back to that. Okay, we're going to get to Bitcoin after we do the US 30, just because of open poll antics. I don't want to miss out on any opportunities while talking about Bitcoin that might not be as prevalent as it is to the open poll. So we're going to do the full analysis this time around, just to make sure that we have all bases covered. We're not identifying something that's not in. Okay, well, what's a better way to say that? We're not identifying something that's not. Let's try to look half decent. All right, cool. So what I mean by that is, it's easy to get excited about some price action hitting the chart, but it's paramount to the health of your future within this architect environment as you develop the architecture of your progression here forth, that the fake outs are separated / identified away from potential turning points. So sure, we are excitable and we love a dominant trend directional change, be it up or down, because that means exciting times. It brings more milkshakes to the yard. So having that additional liquidity means nice volatile swings, which means deeper profits, right? However, we got to make educated decisions here. We don't want to jump that gun. So I'm going to start off with the Dow Jones and do a full analysis to ensure that we're not getting overly excited up front. And this has happened to me before. I've wanted other people to be right. Like Jason, very cheekily said that he said, "Told you guys, I told you on Monday already," which is something I do all the time, so I'm not knocking that. And if you're right, be right. This is what we had to do. We had to be right. So don't be shy about being right. Boastful is a different conversation. But Jason's like, "I told you guys they're going up." However, I'm not completely convinced just yet until we get the confirmations, right? So that's happened in the past where I've got excited and I wanted one of my students to be right and to overtake me and that kind of thing. And I leant into that too hard without doing full analysis. And I was like, oh man, sadly, not only is that person wrong, but I'm foolish for kind of listening to them and backing them, and that's not a good look. So what I want you guys to do is just let it land that you are the CEO of your own future. Even if you are a CEO now, just realize that this is your money maker. You're not here for the fun of it, right? This is going to be generating a good amount of capital coming in for the years and decades to come. So be that CEO, all right? Treat that with the respect that it requires. And ultimately, a CEO is the start and end of the final decision making. Hopefully that made sense. The decisions are his. He goes down with the ship, but he obviously serves the beautiful sunsets with the ship as well. So let the final decision before you open a trade always be yours. Own it. The sooner you own it, the faster you develop and the more independent you become a lot sooner. Okay, so there's a pep talk. Back onto it. So let's go from the top. All right, so trend direction, anything underneath this doesn't really qualify just yet until we pop onto the 512 to look for additional information. From a turning point spacing, let me take it a step back. Trend direction, 10 or 3 is below 1. So you can see under trend over here, 3 is below 1. 2 is below 10. Okay, so under trend, says down. And we're on a down transition until proven otherwise. Okay, this will also apply to Bitcoin, so pay attention to this. Turning point spacing. All right, here's where it's super important to zoom out, as I've said 250 times or more times before. So let's get to that trend line. I know you don't need to go to TradingView to use a trend line if your name is Ricky Bobby. We have it built in. So trend line is just to highlight start to finish what that cycle looks like. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. We can maybe just make another one. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got copy and paste active just yet. I haven't checked. I also like to introduce an undo function, but that's all kind of refinements. We've got quite a few other big projects to complete first. Some exciting stuff, but I won't get into that. Okay, so that is your cycle so far, all right? And once again, it's really easy to get quite excited to see a nice work down within range, potential oscillator switching up, and then getting excited at the idea of 4 being in and a climb to 5. But let me just remind you, all right, we have until here, so let's highlight that. I'm not saying it's not in, just for the record, but what I'm saying is from my learning from pain, I've rushed what was actually happening, and it caught me off guard. So all of this space still to go until turning point 4 is very unlikely to happen, and we are in a downtrend. Okay, so what could be happening is a counter spurt or an energetic push to the upside before it gets into a different route down. I say this often, but it's true. The higher frame candles are quite tough to maneuver around from a analysis upfront environment, like, because I look at this daily. So I don't know. Let's come into the rest of it. I don't want to waste time here. Okay, so it's scaling, fantastic. Kill zone supports that. Time projection, 100's over here. 100. All right. There's nothing really happening over here. No, it's nothing. There's no cube root and there's no time, unless you want to call it 75%. But sometimes there is a test at one of the percentiles to only course correct and continue. Okay, so here's your 100, and it'll have to be below 2. So very narrowly done. We'll probably see a price happen over here, and it'll take about 2 weeks to figure this one out. Cube root we've covered. Oscillator. With all the breaks in time, the oscillator is a little bit drunk, but it is a down vibe at the moment, which leans to it being over here. It is getting kind of a little switch up over there, but I've seen it many times where it switched, continued to cross, and continued to go down. Here's an example of that. Switching down, where this is 1 to 2 as one long transition, and it treated it as if it was a turning point. But ultimately what was happening here was this. Okay, so don't overly lean into the oscillator that's in the course material. And it's tempting because it's almost like a cheat to use the oscillator. But just remember that what MACD stands for, and MACD for me has been the most accurate oscillator out there, especially after we changed the offset. Brett discovered that, and I still think it's phenomenal that he went and learned the coding and adjusted it for us. It's really great stuff. The moving MACD is the moving average convergence divergence oscillator. Okay, so it's price averaged out. That's the average bit. It's moving, and the convergence divergence is basically saying it's where it converges is where it crosses, and the divergence is basically where it switches. And that's why we call it switch up and switch down, because those big words should be cut from trading. But that's what MACD stands for, right? So we're just looking at moving. Okay, so it moves. Averages of price. Okay, there's different speeds here. I need to confirm with what the codes are. And with thumbs up and say it's the 8 and the 12. I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember because we're so busy advancing other stuff. So that's what it is, guys. Don't get lazy. Don't see because it switches that all of a sudden you've got this major confirmation. You really haven't. Look for the full story, as I've always said, on these bigger decisions, and that's why you know all of MTOPS. That's why you're studying the full process and not just the TTI and the trend direction, so you can make these informed decisions on things like dominant trend reversals. Yeah. Okay, so price would be here, P is 1, fan line, arc curve, there we go, 1 over 2, arc 4. So what could happen is maybe that we have to keep an eye out for it. Or it could have turned, but I'm going to give it time. I'm not, before I say we are heading up. Okay, so once again, oh, what the hell is happening here? I'll try to look at these markets with fresh eyes each time. I don't even know if 4 is in, really. I mean, the shape of it is suggesting that, but it could be just what's happening on a lower frame in terms of its turning point there. Okay, so we're out of this, which is telling me that we can go up 1, and it could be getting resisted off of this at the top. By this, I'm talking about that. Or we could be going up. But again, maybe let's check something quickly. I don't think, yeah, that's it for me. I don't know if you guys can see it, and I don't expect you to because you'll get there eventually, and I don't want you to race ahead. But there's almost that intersection over there. I'm going to give it some leniency because of the gaps that they close trading for. Move along here, climb up over there, do a little dance down here, pulled itself up, overcorrected itself, now getting rejected off the top. And it could potentially, what I'm seeing is something along here. Let me see that effect. Yeah, so I'm not going to call it as I move to the upside just yet. Until it's obvious. Okay, and once again, just because price is moving doesn't mean that the market is profitable. When it comes to risk management, you got to make sure that first and foremost, what you have already is protected, like your young daughter at an under 18 party. Like you send the older brother to be there all the time, or something to that effect. Protect your capital. Don't waste it. Because it's easier to win bigger under ripe conditions when you have more. So get a grip. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is what I see. It's almost like a double top, 3 and 5. 4 below 2. I mean, it's double top, really. You give it a few dollars grace. Yeah, I give it $10 grace. So the 128 should be heading downwards. Why is the 512 bullish? Oh, trend, never mind. Oh, but the 512 trend is a joke. So I'm not going to get too hard on the TTI over here. Because 3 is just ever so slightly above 1. It's suggesting that it's going up. I would focus, and we have been focusing more on the transition element. Like I said, trend is still in study. So if under circumstances like this, the better information would be the transition. So just focus on that. 128, as you can see, in kill zone. Let's get to our full cycle over here. Oh, quite a long move to 6. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. So the entrance for 6, should this be 5, is now that. Just get into focus mode. Emil is still on vacation, so yeah, we'll have to still get their text updated. Yeah, I knew that marker there. I think we're still going down. Buy high, sell low. Market's open, obviously pushing this formation of the kill zone. A lot of guys got probably super excited. Maybe saw the pump yesterday. Went long, went long, went long, went long, bang. How are the losses there, buddy? No. I wish I knew MTOPS. Well, we have new instructors and vetted coaches that you can come learn MTOPS with, friend. Or else just remain miserable in Long Street. I mean, Wall Street. Alrighty. It's insane. Look at this crazy stuff. What's time saying? Okay, so not perfect on time. Let me just mess around with this. So almost 400%. Yeah, time was a bit sloppy here, but I think this run was a little bit silly. 2.5 on P, almost 400% on T. What gets me is this incredible environment right here. 1/2, arc 5. Could anyone have guessed this? Just because price is moving doesn't mean a market is tradable. Okay, so if you were one of the guys out there, maybe got in over here, your 1:2 ratio may have been over there, could have stopped, and now you're back at entry, waiting all that time and energy and effort. So just, you'll get to slay your impulse and FOMO monster the more you practice it. What am I doing? Alright. Good news for me is my son's snotty nose is starting to dry up, which means that looping the flu or cold or whatever it is into my system every time I pick him up and he coughs in my mouth. I think he does it deliberately, the naughty little rascal. No, I'm just joking, he's an angel. So that's got to come to an end. Looks like he's getting better, which means I can get better. Hoorah. Yeah. Especially when they're so close to your eye and you're just like carrying them out of like your back's broken, blah, 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 all the things. You're just holding them and you're like, hey, baby boy, you're the best. He just looks you straight in the eye and just coughs in your mouth. And you're like, bro, honestly, love you, but we have to have a conversation about that. Okay, so we kind of missed this opportunity, just kind of slid down over here. But again, just because it's moving doesn't mean that it's tradable. So go back to it again. 2048 wasn't clear, so don't beat yourself up. 512 also not really clear, but we're assuming the resistance up top. Kill zone also 128 and 32. So those who are on our vetted partner FTMO, and you see this move down all the way from 33956 so far to that's the $300 drop. It's okay, don't worry about it. Just because price is moving, even if it moves $300, it doesn't mean that the market is profitable. Alright, so and I have to keep on driving that point home because it took me years for it to land. It was literally only this year that actually landed, especially because you've got MTOPS and you just want to be trading. And I was so frustrated when I didn't get like win streaks like time after time. And the reason it was because we didn't have this indicator in the point range, and I was trading non-tradable conditions. Naughty. What am I now? Gold. Okay. I mean, I would like to say that the Dow Jones and gold are completely non-related, and Bitcoin, but this does seem to have quite familiar moves, like Jagger. I've kept this here. I know we got excited for a second to say gold switching around. But again, it's just not enough for me to say that it has. And that's why I like to be late to the party. And again, this leads into why you should have a trade plan, because you can start ascertaining where you need to make more from the days that you set out on. And that's okay, because you can actually go bigger when you want to make more. So you're actually evidently doing less work, which is fantastic. It's a good way to be, instead of having like this, I have to work 25 days of the month, make daily profit of a minimum of like $400 or $500, and trade every market condition. No, just wait for a 9 to 10 or a 10 to 1 or a 4 to 5 or 5 to 6 depending on market direction, and just 2 other trades, and you should be running rings. Here we go. The 512 is quite convincing to be pushing to the upside. So we still have a little bit more space for it to go down on gold, but it's quite a convincing move to the upside. Very similar shape to what we've just seen at Dow Jones. We'll have to lean into the lower frames to see what they recommend. Looking for a 5 here. It got up quite quickly and wants to drop, so from 0.5 to 1, that would have been almost a $20 difference in price. Like, again, price doesn't matter. It's the distance between your entry and your exit. And because we're using leverage and we use the MTOPS order assistant, the MOA, that we could basically trade $10,000 on a $1 move and double it within as it moves $1. Okay. However, obviously it can go the other way just as quickly, so we don't do that. The question is, are we going to have a continuation to the upside here? All right, from the top, trend direction, let's have a look. 4 below 2, 3 and 1 and 2 and 10 is just dog show. So what would be best for the market is to have a lower high. We're getting quite close towards the middle of the cycle, but it's not to say that it's not just coming to test this line and redirect itself. 20-point spacing, we've got up to there for it to complete. Seems like it's pushing down quite heavily, but once again, guys, the price of gold is under 2,000. So these larger, quicker wicks, candles, it can happen, right? And you kind of get spooked to think that it's going in the other direction. Meanwhile, that's just because it's a lower price and everything else. I think it can go up a little further. I think it's just kind of to choose another line. Let's have a look at the 512 once more. Yeah, it kind of says the same thing here. But 5 seems to be in on the 32. That was quite clear. As soon as I saw that, I was like, alright, 5's in. So probably just moving across. How much space do we have? Yeah, again, I mean, just look at the TTI. Oh, not great. On to Bitcoin. Okay, it's quite a solid push down, which I'm thinking is, well, just by my naked eye, of which I spy. Oops. That's like a arc on a higher frame, and then going down like that. So again, like when I say it might be a big turnaround, it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek environment. In reality, I don't pay too much attention to the oscillator. It's a supporting. It's like it's a tenth of our decision making, so I don't take it too seriously. I'm not saying that it's just going to drop all the way down now, but the thing is, it should, right? Because it's kind of decided on this 1/1. Got all the way to here. I would say, okay, let's reduce it. We got another 17 days of this downtrend. So we're not entirely sure if this is going to break 2 or if it's going to create a further high somewhere down the line. If 5 is going to be above 3, then it might just come down to around about 33,000 to kind of square up with the previous bottom here, so it does a double bottom, and then potentially move to above 3 into the 50,000s. It would do so quite vigorously as well. So from an earning perspective, that's what you want really. If you have external fiat that you want to get into the market, or you've been sitting in USDT and you're waiting to buy in, it would be beneficial for Bitcoin to actually come down to 33, and you get in and you put your account into Bitcoin, because now you're moving the whole account up with the trend. So it's like profit on profit. Even if you take like a small loss, the overall account will be expanding. So that's quite a cool thing. And then the higher high will need to get in towards the middle of the cycle, and it'll have to be above 3. So that would be 33 to about 53. So it's $20,000. That's what you want. Da 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 da, ba 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 ba. What will be irritating here, though, is if we have a lower high, because then we're just seeing some boring action. Also, the question being, is this 5? So look where the parameters for 5 is. It hasn't quite entered yet, but it'll definitely support the downtrend environment. Unless 4 is not in. I was doing some weird stuff. I mean, it could just Geronimo. It would be better if I did that because it gets further. It gives us confirmation, right, of what the trend's actually doing. Again, it doesn't matter if the price is going up or down. It's the difference between when you get in and get out. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter what the price is. We've mastered all of those parameters. Just the fact that we are in trend and how far we can be in trend in terms of maximizing / optimizing our profit. That's all that matters. So there's no bias or indifference. Other guys got in at 65,000. They wake up every morning at the brink of depression because they look at their account and it's still down and it's still down and it's a large holding and they put everything into it, their Christmas bonus and whatever else, and they're just waiting for one day for it to come back. You're not them, okay? We are in the place of power, centeredness, and control, and patience, and unbiased to direction. So the 1 to 8, I want to say this is in, which means that it's going to be quite a ride down, Mr. Jason Garner. Unless we're wrong. That's what I'm seeing for the time being. That is quite a recognizable kill zone. Let's have a look at the 32. How much time we got left? Okay. Yeah, an early 5 suggests that it's quite a bit of down action because that's to cover ground to get to 6. And to continue in trend, that'll have to break 4. This 8 is such a laugh. I'm not going to waste my time. So I put 1 there just so the TTI is fed. What the hell? This is hilarious. Oh, goodness me. Look how ugly that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Late 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gross 5. So 2, 6. 6 to 7. And then it's drop off. Wow. 7, you little wild card. Good job, man. Yeah. Just by looking at transition, you got all arrows pointing down. Once again, condolences to Jason's call. I just love to mess around with you guys. And I think that sums it up. What I want you guys to start doing, por favor, that means please in Spanish, is to start building up a list of questions that were not answered at some point, or to entry level that... What am I trying to say? If it was a environment where you didn't feel you could ask the question because it was very grassroots or tier 1, an entry level, all those things that are to do with the fillers and just basics and just stuff that you would love to know or double check, please write those questions down. 3 to 6 questions would be great, because our instructors kick off from next week. And I would love for you to start testing them as much as I'll be testing them to see what they're like in live conditions, so we can establish trust and authenticity and authority, and just to absolutely vet them to ensure that you guys have got exactly what you need. Obviously, I care about each and every one of them very deeply, so it's not going to be like this intense environment that's not going to be advantageous to their growth, but we just need to make sure that there is a unification of message throughout MTOPS so that the new starts get to fast track their objectives and get into a position of power as soon as their life allows them to. And we're going to introduce some fun again, guys. Like, it's been very difficult being the solo, DJ on the talk show host. It's just like Letterman live with no one coming to the show, basically. Or Jimmy Kimmel or John Oliver. Like, no one coming to the show, just talking. So we're going to get some fun happening again. The group call is always a blast, and there's a massive respect at the end of it, and it's just on the up and up. So once again, guys, my message from this beautiful moment across the airwaves to your lives is to surrender the past and project light into the future. We live in a day and age where we don't need to carry baggage around anymore. The planet is moving up in frequency from the 3rd dimension through the 4th dimension into the 5th dimension. This is going to be a playground that your dreams and fantasies know of, but you'll be living it. So along the way, drop the luggage off, the baggage off, unshackle yourself, the past to the past, surrender the past away to another planet that might need to learn those lessons, and project the light into the future so that you can be the architect of your reality. And that's about it for today. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging around with the likes of myself.